Actually, I'm going to take a quick look at some of these matches to see what types of drops they may do. I mean, the first drop's going to be Caustic Valley, so that's your typical brawl in the light mechs, but something a little bit different is that it's on Caustic. That's a bit warmer of a map, and so teams might take that into play either using flamers or trying to go for a little bit cooler weapons and less energy. In the last match, the Phoenix Legion did. They took 2 Vipers, an Ice Ferret, Hunchback, but that was on Polar Highlands, I believe. So they also had Locust Cheetah, Firestarter, Generous. So they were all beams. In the past, that's what EU tended to do. They tended to go a lot more beams because they were much more reliable hit reg. However, on Caustic Valley, even 6 small pulse starts to heat up pretty quick. So teams might choose to go with either SRMs or LBX.
Yeah, it's definitely you start feeling the heat with the cheetah. On any other map, the Arctic cheetah can run riot, and although it's actually quite rather hot for a light, it gets away with a lot of its stuff being, it's skimpy frame. It's not got a big hitbox. The Gen 2C can do the 6 small pulse build a lot more reliably, a lot more heat efficient, but you run the risk of getting shot a lot more often because it's fatter. But with that comes the build variety. You can bring the SRMs with the Jenner for that one big punch from the off, and you might see that here on Caustic. That's what I like. I like the Jenner 2C with the SRM build. Screw it. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in an explosion in a ball of fire.
So the other weird thing about Caustic, I would say, compared to any other map right now, is that where the domination is at is in almost this bowl. I mean, it's in the caldera. It's in the not all in the caldera. It does get a little bit outside the ridges in some places. People can hide on the lower slopes, but if you in a lot of matches, you're seeing teams either have some start off fights around the caldera, but not necessarily fighting or in the circle, but not necessarily fighting in the circle. Here, I think it's going to be a similar thing where teams are going to avoid fighting inside the caldera if they can help it. I mean, sometimes you can't help it, and that's just when you have to engage. But you don't want to be caught in the middle and getting all heated up on your first few shots while the other team is on the edges.
Agreed. That's where your flamers are coming in. If you get the initial burn on your opponents and you get in there with the flamers, you're up with a significant advantage, especially if the fight's in the caldera. You're already pretty hot. If you get in there first with any flamer mechs, then you've got that advantage in the late game aspect of the brawl. They're going to be hotter than you. Sure, it might depend on the damage, but it's going to start coming into play later on. Not initially, but further on into the fight. So caldera fights are scary for that one aspect. I like seeing trading mechs up there. I reckon it's always good on this map to have a mech just stood at the edge of the caldera just to shoot inwards. You could have large lasers or DACA, whatever it wants, but having something outside, not in the cold because it's still a hot map, but something to put fire down in a constant spray is always very beneficial.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at some of their past season performances right now. It's interesting with 228 because they had in season 5 they were third in Div B, season 6 fourth Div B, and it seems like they got dropped down for season 7 to Div C, but then they finished first, so they're back in Div B. Whereas on the other side of things, with Phoenix Legion, season 6 they were Div D, third place. Season 7 though they got first place, got bumped up, and then but they got bumped up 2 divisions, and I'm not sure. Sometimes those decisions come in because of, for example, how they played in the World Championship or other factors, and they got second in Div B last season, so they have the experience here a little bit more at this level, I would say, or a little bit more success.
Yeah, they're able definitely to put out a performance and hold their own, especially their recent matches they've shown that they can come back from a loss. I mean, first match they had was in Torrid Scorpions, as you said, and that was a 3-2 loss. But second match versus Russian Clan Wolf, it's a 4-1 victory. The next was a 3-2 versus 12 Goggles, and the next was versus TCAF, and that was a 5-0 victory. So they're able to definitely have the experience of playing at this level. 228's match lineup, though, started off very strong with a 5-0 versus Russian Clan Wolf, 5-0 to TCAF, and then something I don't know what went awry, but they took a big 5-0 loss to Antares Scorpions, and then they came back a bit stronger versus the 12 Gunner Guards with the 3-2 victory. But these two currently in the standings for Division B are right next to each other, as I said earlier on, and there's only 1,000 point, if that difference. Let me have a look at it. About 575 points difference between these two teams, so it's very close there. So whoever wins this match will Phoenix Legion will either extend their lead or Golden Talons will jump ahead of them, depending on how many points they get away with or Phoenix Legion let them get away with.
All right, so we have both teams in the lobby. Should be getting set here pretty quick. Now, Team 2, 228, is playing the Bravo Charlie Lances. Both teams are really playing Bravo Charlie. Phoenix Legion's going to have one in Alpha. I mean, if you just look at the map, people on stream can kind of see it on the a little bit, maybe. See those Lances there, but that means they're both playing on a similar side, a little bit reflective there. So we probably get engagement around the what you would look visually east in that general area is where I would expect the fight to end up. Bandit in stream saying he expects a lot of machine guns in drop 1, and I guess that's an option too. Certainly, they got a little bit of an overall boost to every mech, but wow, look at these tonnage though. 228, 330 tons versus 295 Phoenix Legion. I mentioned that Phoenix Legion took those Vipers last time, and if they stick with that, that might explain the lower tonnage. But they also have options like the Cicada. I don't know why else you would go to super low tonnage other than double up on a Locust, for example.
It's definitely curious. I'm intrigued with this really light tonnage. Are they going to skirt around the edges, or are they going to get fast into the center to get the advantage? I'm intrigued, Mark. Intrigued.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Always is on drop 1, number 1. So we got Caustic Valley here. Again, that's going to be 4 lights, 4 mediums, no streaks. You can only have 1 duplicate of a chassis.
Strikes are allowed.
It's the only drop we'll have on Domination. Domination being an interesting game mode. That's some people, it's one of those game modes where it has a lot of promise. I think it just needs some tweaks to work, especially at the higher tonnages. So it's probably a good thing in the 8v8 that we're Conquest after this.
Yeah. I enjoy it. But that's just me, I guess. Alright, so we have to wait for these dropships to come in until we see these mechs. There we go. So on the Phoenix Legion side, we have a Viper, a Locust, a second Viper, Spider, Arctic Cheetah, Ice Ferret, Storm Crow, and a Geno 2CA. What do we got for that 228?
On 228 side, we have Hunchback 2CC, a Wolfhound, that's probably a Cheetah, Shadowhawk, Griffin, Shadowhawk, Locust, Spider. So we're seeing a bit of the, a little bit of machine guns there, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of SRMs and some LBX mixed in, probably some Flamers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at what's on this Shadowcat. Yeah, they're opting for small pulse lasers on the Stormcrow. Sorry, not the Shadowcat.
228 has moved up pretty close to the Caldera, just around the left side. They're kind of strung out here, whereas Phoenix Legion is definitely more grouped on the lower side of the slope. They probably don't want to engage on that low of the slope because that's going to cause some problems on those initial shots, and it'll give 228 an advantage in their target selection.
And some little skirmish here on the eastern side of the Caldera. UAVs have been popped, so both teams know where the others are.
Yeah, and this is definitely not a situation where the team wants to push. They should try to take down those UAVs first. Otherwise, it'll allow whoever is receiving the push to dial up somebody, basically call them out before they're ever across, and that'll increase the focus of fire. A little bit of a pokey going on here at max range for small pulse. Probably nothing really, no real damage happening just yet.
The very slow initial start to what's usually a very fast over and done with drop. So these teams are looking, I think, from the off to assert dominance on the rest of the match.
Yeah, it's always curious when you see a strike on the first drop. It's always like, okay, you actually had the bravery to thought you might actually get the use of a strike on a light drop. Most of the time they're over. Engagement's so fast you don't get that opportunity. But I've seen them actually come into play a little bit this season. I don't know if there's a different meta or if teams are because it's domination, playing it a little bit different. But usually you would just do a UAV cool shot or a double cool shot. And now we're seeing that's the second strike coming in from Phoenix Legion. However, none of them have really hit.
The clock's not ticking down for either team, as Phoenix Legion do have this little locust here.
Yeah, but it's at a minute though, so neither team has an edge there, and
yep.
I don't. This can be the problem, right? If neither team decides to actually push, because at this point they've had the same opportunities to push. Neither team has really reacted that much to their, so it's like they're not really setting anything up. But see a little bit of movement here now by Phoenix Legion, finally kind of bringing their mechs up underneath. They might think about engaging, but again, do they want to engage when their opponent's in the Caldera or not? And yes, I guess they are going to come in.
We're going in. So it begins.
Stormcrow leading the charge for Phoenix Legion. Now machine guns, now they're all in the Caldera, already super bloody hot, but Phoenix Legion does get that first kill on that Griffin, yeah.
Phoenix Legion here, brilliant focus fire, taking they're going for the Shadowhawk next.
Yeah, we see a legged Shadowhawk down, Griffin down, so you got the SSRMs down with only Viper, Stormcrows down for Phoenix Legion, but it is 6-6. Percentages are in favor of 228. Position is about even. They're both just kind of scrambling around, looking for what team can now get the focus, fire. This is the point when your teams really got to focus and try to regain it. Looks like they have now, ripping down the legs on this Hunchback 2C. That drops in favor of Phoenix Legion.
Indeed. Oh, looks. I think this Stormcrow, not Stormcrow.
I think the Jenners shut down, but he might also be leg. But now they are on that Shadowhawk. That is an obvious target for them. Big legs, and they're probably going to get that down pretty quick. But it is now at 5-5.
It's two self-destructions here by Phoenix Legion. They got to watch that. You don't want to give away free rep to your enemies here. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's really going back and forth though. Percentages are now. Oh, I was gonna say Balky in favor of 228, but then you get a double kill there. Both teams taking one down. Now two down. Two left remaining for Phoenix Legion, a Viper and a Cheetah, but it's now 2-2. We get in the cockpits here. One now, 1-2. He's super hot. His leg is hurt. There's a fresh mech he has to fight. Gonna be a tough order here for Case of Block to come back and try to take this win. We've had a close fight so far. Question is, can he maybe find the other mech? But every time this mech shoots, this Wolfhound shoots, he's hitting. So that leg is all off. He's got a Locust. There's not much you can do here, but just die. Yeah. Wow, that leg went down a lot faster than I was expecting. I think they might have both hit it about the same time.
Yeah, but good focus fire on the initial movement there by Phoenix Legion, but 228's proven that they can hold and regain a lot more focus to in the late game. But I think the two self-destructions there came into play by Phoenix Legion. They lost two mechs.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing, but what we talked about pregame, the double Viper, they did here, and that's the thing. You have all that energy. They're all energy mechs. So you're in the Caldera with all energy versus a team who's got LBX and SRMs and Flamers and stuff. And that was probably the little bit of the difference. I mean, they got the Griffin down with pretty much no damage, but their Stormcrow went down with basically no damage. And if you're looking at the mediums, I mean, you got Viper at 108, Viper at 143, and that's a mech meant to move fast, and it can't move fast in that Caldera. So then all that beams, how much does it pay off? Maybe on that first kill, but the follow-up's a little bit more difficult. However, the teams went back and forth, so it was a really close match.
Yeah.
Both teams will get the bonus.
Get that bonus.
All right, you want to go over a little bit of the map?
Sure.
I mean, there wasn't too much to it, but might as well.
Well, yeah, screw it, So both teams electing to take the Bravo Charlie spawn. Phoenix Legion, Bravo Charlie, 228, Bravo Charlie. 228 made a movement straight into the Caldera and basically stood there and said to Phoenix Legion, come at me. Phoenix Legion had to, even though they had the faster mechs, in my opinion, didn't really... I don't get why they didn't just capitalize on the fact that they had those faster mechs and get into Caldera first and kind of deny it from the enemy. Maybe it was, like you said, Maya, good. They knew there were energy boats and therefore they didn't want to go into the hardest place on the map. So they really elected to just kind of sit around here in Echo 5, putting a Locust right on this very corner here. There's a little rock right there where that dot is, and just sat in there to neutralize that no time was ticking down, so both teams are kind of under pressure at that point because you want to pressure the other team into coming into the cap because time's ticking down. But with that neutralized, it's one of those pressure on both teams. With that moment, some time ticked on, and then they elected to kind of take this path into the caldera, into the 228 holding firing line or force or whatever you want to say. It's a brawl at the end of the day. They're both kind of mishmashed a little bit. Great early focus fire by the Phoenix Legion, but like you said, the cooler weapons loadout of 228 basically went out of the day. Two mechs went down to self-destruction on the Phoenix Legion, and my opinion, that cost them, because you don't want to do that. Don't overheat. Stop it. Stop riding your override.
Yeah, I mean they improved it a little bit, a few patches, whatever, however long it was ago, where it wasn't like an instant head pop usually, but it has happened, and I think it's not worth. I know you're trying not to shut down, but you just got to kind of figure out what that heat is and not push it unless you're about to die. And if you're lagged, you're cored, fine, hit the override and just ride it. Try to get a couple shots off that you wouldn't normally. That's fine. But if you're a fresh mech or relatively fresh, not lagged, whatever, or even if you're beat up but you can still tank for a little bit while, like sacrifice yourself in other ways than through a horrible override. And if you're taking SRMs, for example, I know they weren't this time, but taking SRMs and your ammo cooks off and kills you that way, that really sucks.
Indeed, like, and especially when we're going into these ladder drops, these ladder brawls, your internal structure isn't as big as you think it is. All it takes is for a cheetah or any other mech just to drill into your back torso. They're not going to kill you in one shot, but they're going to eat through your armor into your structure. You're riding the heat at that precise moment, and pop, there you go. They effectively killed you, but the game says that you overheated. It's because your internals aren't as much HP as you like to think they are. So, my advice: don't ride it.
So up next, we're gonna have Tourmaline Desert, and that's gonna be your 2 light, 4 me, 2 heavy. I think that's right.
Yep.
So, this is where I'm curious. Like, is a team gonna try to play this range, or are they going to? I mean, because you can't only duplicate once. So if teams want to do like a Nova, like a double Nova, double Nitro, you can't do that. So I'm really curious to see how they decide to use their duplicates, and if they're gonna go for a pure brawl, or maybe Nightgear supporting a brawl, or if a team's actually going to try to go for some kind of a range. I mean, based on what we saw there, I could see both teams. They feel comfortable with those typical brawl mechs. The Double Viper was a really interesting choice, so you could see some more speed being used by Phoenix Legion, perhaps more attempts for controlling Conquest, controlling the caps, trying to get ahead that way.
Indeed. A lot of nice little tourmalines here you can get up to. Those medium mechs love those tourmalines. Get a Hunchback, Shadowcat, Huntsman up there, and have some nice little range fights if that's you're that way inclined. But yeah, it'd be interesting. The initial tonnages, once again, 228th leading the tonnage war, and Phoenix Legion going at 375 to 228's 410. So they're favoring the lighter mechs again.
Yeah, and I was looking at the lances really quick. It's interesting. If it's So on Team 2, we have an Alpha Bravo lances right now, seemingly, and Bravo Charlie on Team 1. So looking at the map, I mean, that's a side where they could be setting up the range from Team 1, or they're planning on pushing like down the F7, F6 area. But Team 2, in the Alpha Bravo, I mean, we've seen teams, especially like 228, 228 Blackwash and stuff, take that, and they'll just push to D5. However, there isn't going to be any mechs in D5, most likely, to collide into. So if they are planning to push, they're going to have to decide if they're going to continue to go that way and just loop around D6 and hope to catch up to them, or if that's going to be too risky. Obviously, I mean, they have more open lanes. They can just push towards stage here in the E6 area, maybe even take stage and then move out based on what they start scouting, and that'll at least allow them to control Theta.
Indeed, they definitely. Oh, here we go then. Or do we?
They're both ready. No guarantees of launch.
Keeping us in suspense, man.
Yeah.
Oh, one ready, and then he ready up.
Had to check, man. Did you take the UAV? Hit the strike? Got your cool shot. Alright, so we're going to get going here with drop number 2. Tourmaline Desert, 2 lights, 4 meats. two heavies. On Conquest, 228 taking the first drop. So, let's see if Phoenix Legion can win this one. Keep it close.
Indeed, we like close matches.
We do like close matches. But even more important than close matches are good matches.
Indeed.
Good play is more important than even like the results. So we'll see what happens here.
Hell, sometimes even good play doesn't even result in what seems to look like a close match when it comes to the end screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen teams where I can say, hey, that was a really good match, and it finishes 8-1, and somebody's saying, oh, they got crushed, and it's like, not really. Maybe like a mistake happened here, or a headshot happened here, which kind of broke a line or something like that. So
cherry torsos all over the place.
Yeah. So on 228 side, we do see a Night Jeer, but a double Night Jeer, the human, as it's known as the Huntsman, your Cheetah, Shadowhawk, Stormcrow, Locust, Hunchback 2CB. It's interesting. And then on the other side, we see the double Viper again. From Phoenix Legion. I'm curious. Are they going to go for a scout? I mean, they got the Spider 5K and the Cheetah and linebacker. A linebacker is an interesting one, and a summoner. So they got a definite brawl. So they might be going for that beam, the beam brawl again.
Very ballsy compared to how it worked out from last time. Spider's getting some nice initial scouts here on the 228th movement, just across the hoop area. Seeing that they've taken up Echo 4, but they're not doing the special push down onto stage part. Just kind of staying up here, trying to have superiority over Theta, sending a mech maybe later on to Epsilon, I think, just to get that cap. And they got their home cap, so 2 caps for either side, with Theta pretty soon falling to 228th.
Yeah, this is really interesting, like a weird setup in a way, or atypical at least. 228th is camping on this E4 corner. They do have Brawl mixed in here with their range, so they've got the 2 caps, but Phoenix Legion a little bit ahead. But Phoenix Legion decided to do that cap line move. Maybe they're hoping to catch them in a transition or something. I mean, I talked about that general push lane they could take, but at this point, it's tough because if they don't get scouting, they're not going to know what's going to come at them, and they might be really hesitant to push on 228, thinking they might be a full range or something, standing up at this point. But what they don't know is that right now, at least they don't know that this team is very mixed.
Indeed, they've got a nice setup here, a bit of a firing line outlook and everything, even though actually it looks like 220 don't actually know where Phoenix Legion are. Although that Sigma cap should kind of
because Night Jeer's looking to his left or something. See, are they gonna push to our left? What's going on? But okay, this this is an interesting match because he got the starting cap now. Phoenix Legion's on that one, so they are maintaining. They're gonna get this 3-2 lead on caps. They have the speed. And so it might come down to 228 deciding when they're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive, because they're not going to be able to control all the space because they do not have the speed. They only have the 2 fast lights. They do have the brawl potential, so they can push, no problem. But can you take a look at what's on that linebacker and summoner just to make sure if they're all brawl, it'll be really, really interesting, because they could force 228 to push in a really bad spot.
Yeah, the linebacker has brought a machine gun and small pulse mix, and the summoner. Let me guess. SRMs. Yep, SRMs. So they want to brawl.
Yeah, they do. And with this 3-2 lead here, I mean, it's good for them. Now, 228 is making their move back towards Sigma. They're going to try to bring it 3-2. And this would be the time when, if they notice it early enough, which they're not, because their lights are running away, they're not even going to. I don't know if they'll see this move. They should see the move. They got some pretty nice visibility. They should try to jump on these mechs on Sigma, send their lights and Vipers after those Sigma mechs, and they probably could kill them. And they honestly wouldn't have any support until they got all the way back over to the Night Jeer line of fire.
Indeed. I'm just waiting for these Vipers. Oh, there we go. I think the Vipers are now moving up towards the Sigma cap.
Yeah, but it's a little bit slow because they're going to turn this thing. They're going to try to get full cap, but they're slowing down. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do here, because maybe they're saying, hey, let them take it, leave, and then we'll retake it. I guess if they don't have all that visibility into what 228 is doing, they don't, like, we could see where 228 is at, but they don't necessarily know. It looks like they should, but they don't necessarily know or feel comfortable with it. So maybe they're a little hesitant to get aggressive on Sigma, and that's what they're going to do. They waited for them to full cap, but they come back, and now it's up to 228 to decide what they're going to do. Because if they just spent all this time capping that, and we're only 34 points difference, but they spent all that time capping it. Now, are they going to try to come back and take this? Or are they going to use this opportunity? Sometimes what teams will do is they'll wait for a team to get on a cap, knowing that they're a little bit split up, and then make their move at that point. But wow,
Indeed.
Phoenix Legion's so spread out across that back line.
Yeah, it's this is one of those weird ones. The cheater here, gonna have a look, gonna see those two mechs on Sigma, and he's gonna be like, right, well, gotta wait for those to leave.
Yeah, but
The
at this
waiting
point, though,
game.
at least he'll know what they got, right? If he sees those Vipers, if they saw those Vipers, they know a little bit more of the situation. And that's the point, I mean, you kind of hate to see it because you're like, oh my gosh, they have so much speed. What are we going to do?
Spin around in circles, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, they can't waste time, okay? 343 doesn't seem like a lot, but that's half of his game gone. Half of it's gone. And if you get in a fight at this point, 5 minutes are gone by, okay? But think more about 3 minutes. You get in a fight at this point, you have to win the fight or during the fight get that third cap to slow it down. Otherwise, you have a chance of losing the match even if you win the fight.
I think these Vipers are waiting here. They have Stormcrow for backup. I think they're waiting for these mechs to get onto Sigma.
That's what they need to do is set up a little bit of a trap. There is some overview here, and they'll see it, but they could leg this thing without any problems. It's 2 or 3 shots. It's legged.
And they're going in on this cheater. If they get this little initial pick here on this light, that's some nice early.
Yeah, and they're not pursuing it, even though they can't see any mechs now. There is going to be some support. They almost have it legged. At least, if nothing else, they've made it so it can no longer be the capping mech.
Indeed.
Like, even like late match, they can just leg that thing, but 220 is now making the move. They've realized they have to get that third cap, so they're going to shove all their team over there. And that's actually not a bad spot for them. They should be able to hold that okay, because the Nightjares can post up in the back and really give some nice oversight, and that's going to force Phoenix Legion to move through some open ground, giving the Nightjares about 1 or 2 shots before the general brawl will happen. That might be enough damage. However, Phoenix Legion, intelligently, is recognizing some of the situation, and they're going to try to probably grab data here.
Yeah.
And rotate away. I mean, they have the speed. There's no reason for them to get caught there, and I think they're making the wise choice. They're looking like they're going to go for that 8-0 cap victory. Some people complain about that in Conquest. I think this is actually, I think it's an interesting when teams are doing that, and it's asking other teams, hey, if you want to fight, you got to figure out how to fight us. It's frustrating to plan for, no doubt about that. But we got time left here. 225 points remaining for Phoenix Legion.
Yeah, I think a quick.
Oh my gosh, they might even go for. They're gonna get a 4 cap, and that's gonna make it. That could be game. Honestly, a 4 cap, I think at this point is game.
Yep. Just waiting for this little cheater to get to Epsilon, and then they'll have that magical 4 cap. And then what's 228 gonna do? You sat on Echo 4 for a long time there.
Yeah, because at this point they're gonna have to basically win the fight and get 4 caps in reply. Oh, but they're gonna come in here and they're gonna be coming into 3 mechs here. They should be able to crush these 3 mechs if they can get into this fight quick enough, because Phoenix Legion is definitely spread out. You got 2 over on Kappa, 2 on Epsilon. Honestly, these mechs just need to bolt out of here and just go all the way around and be like, yeah, we're gonna go to Sigma. I mean, right now that's what Phoenix Legion did. They can even sacrifice these mechs, have those ones at Kappa, go grab Sigma. It's still a 4 fight. We only have 140 points remaining. Yeah, this thing is definitely a precarious, tough situation for 228.
Why aren't these Vipers moving?
I think they're just trying to slow it down. I think they just figure they're just gonna try to slow it down a little bit because they know they've got this.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah.
They're saying, try to get this point back from us. Go for it. Have fun. Spend all your time here instead of decapping us other places. But there's no way 228 can decap those other places. Their mechs that get chewed up on any of those moves, and the speed, reaction time of Phoenix Legion will be too much. But we do get some fights here. The Viper does go down. Looks like they actually legged this 228th mech or shut down. You got a 3-on-1 over there. Making it 2-1 in favor of 228th, but it is only a handful of points. We only got about 10 seconds left, and this match will be over in favor of Phoenix Legion. 228th is getting kills to at least give them points, so if they can get all these kills, it'd be really good. It would have been the best interest of Phoenix Legion at this point to pull back. I don't know why they're just sacrificing mechs to the 228th gods here, because, I mean, they're just giving them C-builds that they wouldn't otherwise earn.
Indeed.
Or rep points, rather.
But the match has reached its climax, and it is the cap win for Phoenix Legion. Not a lot of action there usually for Timling. Usually we'll see some trading or things like that, but if you play static, you run the risk of being vulnerable to a cap win, and that's exactly what Phoenix Legion took advantage of.
This is an interesting situation, okay? Because I have to look up the rule exactly on this. Stats for you guys there.
think if you win on caps, you get the
You
8.
don't get the bonuses though. So I think
Yeah.
228. I think they might have gotten the bonus. I'm trying to find. I forget if it's 4 or 5 mechs on drop number 2. I'm looking at it. Let's see here. 5 mechs. So 228 just barely missed the bonus. Because if they would have gotten the bonus, that's worth 2 kills. And it would have been a barely any difference in. Because it would have been basically equivalent to about 6 kills versus 2 kills and a win. So still, it's, with Phoenix Legion not getting the bonus, they only really got, they didn't get that many more rep points. So see where we're at. And overall, Phoenix Legion just 50 rep ahead of 228 at this point, because they did get that bonus in. They equaled the bonus. They both got bonuses, and it was a pretty close match in drop number 1. All right. Well, I don't know if I want. Do you want to do the map on this one? Because that was a lot of movement. All right.
I like my drawings.
All right.
Okay, so 228th taking the Alpha Bravo spawn here. Phoenix Legion, obviously taking the Bravo Charlie spawn. 228th electing to basically post up here on the Echo 4, Echo 3 kind of hill area. It allows you a lot of visibility over the Theta area, over down to Fox 5, over Epsilon. They also sent a light over down there to cap Sigma as well. Phoenix Legion electing to just basically hide back here down the bottom of the map, sending mechs basically sprawled out all along this line I'm drawing as it catches up very slowly. There we go. Golf 6, Fox 7, getting the Gamma cap there by a light mech, getting the Kappa cap as well. That was basically put both teams on the 2-2 because 228 sent a mech over to Theta. And then it was just a kind of like a little I want it kind of cap thing over Sigma. Because of 228's position, they could have just moved down into Bravo area, into Bravo spawn area, in my opinion, and just that would have kind of solidified the Sigma cap. But they just kind of stood up on the Echo 4, kept sending the light mechs back and forth, and that made it easy for the faster mechs on the Phoenix Legion side to kind of abuse that static play, ending on them taking Sigma, forcing 228's attention in that area into the late game as well. After you pointed out the fact that it's over halfway now, we've gone into the 350 to 400 point range. 228 sent their full force down into the Sigma area to finally have it capped for them. With that, Phoenix Legion had Kappa, they had Gamma. They elected to take Theta and Epsilon, giving them the 4 cap advantage, because they're not going anywhere near Gamma, and then spread out all over the map and let those points tick. And with that came the inevitable cap win. Of course, I'm not forgetting the fact that 228 saw that this was happening, decided to just make a mad dash towards Theta, but by that point, the Phoenix Legion was spread between Epsilon, Theta, Kappa, and I've maybe even had 1 or 2 mechs back here behind stage as well.
So do you think Phoenix Legion was planning all along to go for a pure cap win, or do you think they thought that if they got in a fight, they still could win with the mechs they had?
I think if they got into a fight, they would have still won, because they were very aggressive at the end there of the fight. But I do think they were bargaining on the fact that the meta right now is you bring Night Gyres. For some reason, that's the thing you bring. You bring a Night Gyre. What's the Night Gyre's weakness? Well, it's slow. Can jump high, but it's slow. So if you're thinking, well, the enemy team's going to bring Night Gyres, let's put a hefty bet on that. Let's bring some fast heavies to go with some fast mediums. We can mob anything that gets to any points and kind of just leave the Night Gyres in the dust somewhere. I think that's what they did.
All right, well, up next we have Mining Collective, and I'm not going to say there won't be a cap victory here, but it's going to be much harder. This is one of my favorite maps to watch and play on, because it's one of those arena type maps. It's a little bit more closed in, limited space. It's still big. It's still pretty big, and we have seen cap victories, or caps being really important in this map. They can be huge on this map, enforcing engagements and controlling space, but I do think that we will see a little bit more fighting, and the result will either end maybe late caps, or it'll be based on kills. So this one though is where we have the Captain Mech, the 85-ton mech, Marauder 2C, Battlemaster. It's two of the popular options, and then I think it's three. I have it down here somewhere. It's 3 mediums and 4 heavies. So there's no lights on this one, which makes camping a little bit more difficult. However, as we've seen Phoenix Legion taking the Viper, things like that, the Ice Ferret kind of play as pseudo lights, and both teams will probably take at least one. Phoenix Legion, they might go for 2, but I don't think they'll double up on the Viper here because there's only so many like really dominant heavies that you want to take, and I think that I'm gonna say I don't know if they're gonna take Night Jeers here because maybe that's not a mech they love, but it's an obvious choice I think on this map until you take at least one of those, and I expect 228 to take 2 of them just like they did last drop.
Yeah, especially with the map's design, there's not a lot of wide open spaces. Basically, well, there's wide open spaces, but if you want to really abuse that on this map, you gotta get up high, and the Night Cheer allows you to do that. Night Cheer, Grasshopper, get them posted up high, and then you have control over a nice, decent space of the map. Those mediums, though, those Vipers, tiny, nippy, can make advantage of that too.
Yeah, I think the Viper. I'm curious. I don't know what people's opinion is versus the Ice Ferret. For a while, I would have said the Wild Ice Ferret was it really as that role. It was the fastest, but now with the Viper, we're seeing more and more teams taking that. It can boat a little bit more small pulls, so it makes it a little bit more like your
The MGs
Mini
too.
Nova / Firestarter 9A type thing. So I'm with the MGs. Curious to see it in
MGs and
more of a general fight and how it does. I've seen people in opens running it really well.
Yeah, it's definitely appears to be Phoenix Legion's niche mech.
Now Phoenix Legion's going to be playing Team 1, which means on this side it means they have those pillars side, which tends to be the side that teams favor. I would say is Team 1 on Mining Collective because of its ability to have some of that initial elevation as they set up. Whereas the elevation on Team 2 is so far back from Theta that it's a little bit harder to use. The teams often play in the north of the map. However, there are all those buildings around the E line that teams will play set up as well on those buildings, and pretty successful. I think pretty successfully, but I do feel like Team 1 is a side that if Phoenix Legion is going to want to play a range game from, then this is a good side to do it.
Definitely.
Whereas 228, I would say that this might be where they want to be a little more aggressive. And I'm curious how that last match changes it. Because 228, you come in with a plan. You have your mechs done. Your drop decks are done, for the most part. And now you've seen that. You're like, oh, crap, we got out capped. They weren't fast enough. And now we have no lights. So do we need it? Now maybe you're trying to shift things around and react. And that's where you can get in trouble. Because now all your plans, your scrims, stuff like that, you're starting to change because you're like, well, Phoenix Legion did this. Now we got to do that. And suddenly your team's you're not fully ready, like for all the implications of changing the drop deck. But if you don't make the changes, then maybe you get beat anyhow because now you're once again not able to control caps and forcing you to push when you don't want to push, and you lose the game. So, all right, we're gonna get started here on Mining Collective.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think 228 are definitely on the back foot here, both not in score wise, but in strat wise. That would knock you off your feet a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they've seen those double Vipers twice. They've seen all those beams. So one thing if they were gonna brawl here, I would recommend then if you wanted to counter what they're doing, what Finks is doing, you might just take a lot of flamers, like a lot of flamer SRMs, and heat up those beams as quickly as possible, which is they're able to do on that drop number 1.
So, drop number 3 for Phoenix Legion, we have their elected commander mech, the Marauder 2C, the Viper, but not double Vipers this time, Hunchback 2C, Nightjar, a Nova, a Summoner, a Timber, and a Nightjar. So, electing to double up on their Nightjars.
So, 228 did take a brawling Timberwolf, and I'm trying to...
2 Summoners, too.
So and a Griffin, so they're going to become the aggressors here. And on the other side, like you said, it is a little mix there. So we could see a pretty quick fight. Is that Timby on Phoenix Legion side? Is that Brawl?
It is. We've got some small pulse lasers and we got some flamers mixed in with that stuff.
Interesting. So now 228 kind of moving up to your typical spot. A lot of teams are playing around this area to start off as. Whereas Phoenix Legion has moved up on that Gamma side. That's interesting because with that range and that brawl, um, this could be, a situation where no team can really get on Theta, and therefore you want to get that FC. I think you want to send that one mech over, grab Epsilon, grab your second cap essentially, so you start getting those points. But 228th has basically decided not to cap anything.
Indeed, an interesting move. Phoenix Legion electing to cap the Gamma, also moving on to cap the Epsilon. Perhaps they've noticed that 228 aren't capping anything, so that would give away your position. You don't have to kind of scout your enemy sometimes to know where they are. Just looking at the caps and seeing that nothing's happening can kind of give you a gist. Okay, so they're not taking Sigma or Kappa, they're not taking Theta. So they've got to be somewhere in between, or they've got to be moving somewhere. Send off a light, just get a little sight line on them, and if they have, and you see that they're not moving, then you've basically got them pinned in, and you can start making this nice wide angle, which they appear to be doing here. Nightjar is posted up top, overlooking Theta.
2 RPPC, 6 small pulls, opting for very few heat sinks on the Hunchback 2CA for Phoenix Legion. But we do add 2 PPC mediums. I mean, one for each side. They're 228th with the Nova, Phoenix Legion with that Hunchback.
Indeed. PPC Nova seems to be making a little...
Little cute Nitro there with the double Gauss ear PPC 2 Flamer. Anticipating a little brawl where you switch into your double Gauss Flamer.
Indeed. Well, not.
Yeah.
Join it in.
Well, 100-14 right now, Phoenix Legion in the lead on points with both teams in a classic standoff. I mean, this is where somebody 228 has to be like, hey, yeah, we don't want to lose the caps again. I know we don't want to push in a stupid timing, but we can't sit here forever because we're down on caps. Now they have Theta 3-2. It's time. We got to pull a trigger somewhere. So let's start setting up that push. Let's set it up now. Because around 200 points is usually a pretty good time to set up a push. So now it's time to start making your move to set the push. And they have a lot of options here. They don't have to go across the open. They can go all the way around the outside of the map if they want because there's not really a range deficit. They're not taking a lot of range shots. And they've got to realize at this point that most of the mechs of Phoenix Legion are not engaged. Therefore, it's likely that they're brawl as well. So they can pretty much move any direction they want, a general direction that they want. And they're starting to make that move now across the lower side of Theta. And this is going to actually be difficult, though, because what you don't want to do is push through this area that they're facing, because just based on Phoenix Legion setup, that's going to put them in a grinder or a gauntlet.
Indeed, they're getting set up, I think, here to pounce. They've seen this movement.
I'd like to see them go left, jump up around the left, go around that building, and knock where that Viper and Nova are at, instead of going through the area that they're about to go through now. I actually really hate this. I think they're going to have to jump up and knock out on the Hunchback. That's what that Pain Sucker's trying to do there with the SRMs. Get on Nightjar right away, doing some serious damage on him.
And it looks like we've degraded into I say degraded, I mean upgraded into a brawl. The Marauder 2C for 228 is sitting back, and he's got a high alpha median pulse build.
So the Summoner came up here, got shots, now it's dropped off the back. And you got all these other mechs for 228 just sitting at the bottom of the ramp. But you got poking by Phoenix Legion here, but they do get that, 228 does get that first kill.
Indeed, I think Phoenix Legion here have been asked to jump down into the meat grinder and... self-destruction there. Stop it.
Oh, no, another one there. So now we are 2-1, though, in favor of 228. A lot of heavy damage on both sides, though, for a lot of the mechs here. So it could quickly go either way. And we're seeing just these independent little fights, like different sides are engaging differently. And that's not something you see very often where you have these, split attacks going on. Now it's 2-3 in favor of Phoenix Legion, and they've kind of taken this a little bit back. They're still doing this poke there. Now they got that next kill, it brings it to 4-2. So they got some health there left in that Nightjar, which is going to be important, as well as that Nova and the Hunchback. So I think at this point Phoenix Legion has a pretty good thing going for them. And also because they're up on caps, they don't have to leave the situation. It's up to 228 that they want to disengage and try to recap Theta. But I think that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation where they're engaged, but they can elect right now to disengage. But Phoenix Legion here forcing the issue, jumping on this Timberwolf.
Yeah, White Fox sacrificed himself for that.
Going for this Marauder 2C next to get this commander.
This is perfect for them because 228 had spread out. They saw it with that Viper there. Okay, 2 kills. Now they're able to make this move. Get that. He gets that kill in now. Get that kill. So it's just 4-2, but 228 is really beat up, and they got nice little They basically should be able to have no problem targeting here, finishing his mechs.
Some back shots coming here from the Nova. However, the Nightjar falls, but the Nova gets that other Nightjar killing. And the Marauder Commander mech takes.
Yeah, and they kept it alive at 67%.
Indeed, so they get that bonus.
He actually had a lot of armor left. He just had his one side eliminated, but everything else was pretty fresh. Wow, so that was interesting. Holy cow, 602 damage for that Nova. Nice job by Dr. Gonzo.
He's going to town on that thing. Yeah, a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the damage, Phoenix Legion getting 310 out of that Viper, that's really respectable. Timby, Summoner not doing as much. Actually, you look at the Summoners in general. I mean, 210, 155 for 228. You got 130 for Phoenix Legion. They're just, I mean, they got a lot of firepower, but it's like this target. Everyone's like, shoot the Summoner, and then and it goes down. And it's like, well, maybe you should have had a mech. Maybe it'd been better off to have a mech that could be a little bit more out of the action or something. But I mean, that Timby, was a brawl as well at 469, so that certainly was able to get that damage in, and for 228. I mean, that was pretty close. 3-1, 3 kills difference. Some of them beat up. I thought 228 might have had a chance there because Phoenix Legion started poking against them down that slope, and I was like, they got that first kill, and I'm like, well, if you keep poking into a line, it doesn't take much to really hurt them, even though you might have a better situation. They really wanted 228 to move up that ramp, so they probably shouldn't have been like giving 228 anything to like shoot at, just to be like, no, we're not going to give you anything, just come on, keep coming.
Definitely, they were poking into an area. I mean, the 228's Marauder 2C was bringing the high alpha laser vomit build. It had the 6 mediums and 2 large pulse on that thing, so you step into the sightline of that, vomits on you, you've lost the side torso. Or about to. It's a nasty mech, and at the end there, I think he got over 400 damage with that, so he was able to put in some nice initial damage. A lot of the high damage numbers of 228 were, pretty damn nice in the in that poking war, but then they decided to kind of peel back, and in that pulling back kind of split movement where they sent one mech up to Theta, the Nightjar was coming around the back, it left the Timberwolf and the Marauder open to just getting pounced on by the entirety of what was left of Phoenix Legion, and that's what inevitably won them the game.
Yeah, so Phoenix Legion was up here in E4 with some mechs, and the other ones are on E5. At least this is, I'm just charting the area really when the move happened, whereas 228 was over and generally just in this direction here in the C5, D5 area. And so we had Thetos in their favor, Gamma and Epsilon. 228 did get Sigma and Kappa, but they were very delayed in getting Kappa. So they were huge. I mean, and Sigma. I mean, really, they didn't even go after those right away. I guess they were maybe expecting Phoenix Legion to just kind of like leap at them and go right in their faces. They're like, forget the caps. Let's just make sure we're together. That's fair.
Yeah, definitely.
But as soon as you saw that
those
Gamma,
caps were reactionary.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. They were just trying to slow it down or get some points going in case they had to go for points later on. But they recognized it 3-2. They had to make a move, so they calmed down this way. And this is where I was like, because the position that we could see, they couldn't see it. But because of the position that we could see, I was saying that I think 228 would have been better kind of going around this side, jumping up here, and then attacking that way. Now, these mechs that would have had oversight up here on E4, that would have been really hard to take care of. So that might have been a reason not to. But I feel at least then you're not going through that gauntlet. Instead, though, 228 did come down to the bottom. Well, actually, they kind of split it up. It was weird because they had some mechs at the bottom of this ramp, whereas the summoner, at least one summoner, I think another mech, jumped up here to knock that Nightjar. But at a certain point, they had to dump off the back here. And this is where we had this fight you had a little bit of fight on this side of the map, and then you had Phoenix Legion poking down this way, so you were getting this fight over here. So you had 2 different fights really going on. And at first 228 got that first kill, that Phoenix Legion mech poking, but it didn't take very long for it to start evening up, I think because of the split fight. And it would be a lot harder, I think, for 228's Nightjars to be in the position that, like, as good a position, basically, for that fight as Phoenix Legion. Phoenix Legion was able to keep their Nightjars up on that E4 platform, whereas 228, I mean, they could have maybe gone Theta, or I think they're mostly playing that E5, that lower ramp area, and that's just not as good because you're trying to charge up those gals, trying to time those shots, and honestly, like those Nightjares could just have shot him off. So it was really good that 228th got those summoners to start occupying the time of the Nightjares. Otherwise, those Nightjares would have had a field day.
Definitely. But I think the movement, as I said earlier, that killed them was as this little poking war was happening over here. I think they lost this fight over here in Echo Fort and decided to send some mechs. The wrong paint. Send some mechs over here into Echo Fort, and they sent a Nova on here onto Theta as well. But this left the Marauder 2C and the Timberwolf, out over here in Echo 5. Phoenix Legion decided to just kill that. And with these returning mechs, decided to come back around. I think the enemy Nightjare went all the way around here. Was like, there's nothing, and came loop back around. At that point, the Marauder 2C Timber was dead. Just had to finish off that mech and the Nova that was inevitably returning on top of Theta.
Yeah, and the end there, I mean, that was interesting move. I was like, why is that Viper doing that? Why is he coming? He just came down over here, started chasing after us. I'm like, he's hurt. But maybe he's like, oh, just a sec. I mean, I think he's one of their team leaders. I think he was just trying to figure out what the situation was. They were ahead. They wanted to get the kill. So he ended up becoming a little bit of a decoy. Probably didn't have as many weapons, and that allowed the rest of his team then followed soon after, and they picked off the mech that was sitting here, and then you had the Mad TC there, and then they just had to get this Nova at the end.
Yeah.
So it's a good finish. 8-5.
Close.
So we're looking at kills overall. Right now we have 22 kills for Phoenix Legion versus 17 kills for 228. So it's really only a single drop difference. It's 2-1 in favor of Phoenix Legion, but it can easily switch either way with these remaining 2 drops.
Indeed.
So up next, though, is going to be Viridian Bog. It's like I missed the entire replay there. I was going to try to show some of the last minutes there, but all right. Yeah, so we got the Bog. What do you think about this map right now?
Right now, I think it's one of those maps that's kind of a bit like a Pandora's box. You can either open it with a brawl, or you can just play it safe with range and just kind of stay away from it. You can either sit up on the mesas and just kind of send some mechs over, get some caps, get a nice early lead or whatever, and then play the waiting game, or you can decide to charge straight through the middle or round the bottom where Theta is, or hell, even round up top. You've got 3 choices there to engage your enemy on either side, really. I mean, both sides have maces they can jump onto to get that early little range setup. But the most interesting part for me on Bog is Theta. Who takes it and how do they take it? And with the drop 4 being consisting of 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, and 2 assaults, you have that ability now to take the Theta with a light mech or 2, maybe send a Viper there with the 2 light mechs, get an early pick and make yourself dominant on there, and then set yourself up and say, right, come fight me.
Yeah, so back when Viridian Bog was first came out, I would say Theta was one of those things that people didn't even go after. Like, it was just considered too difficult to get. It wasn't worth it. So you didn't see that many fights over it. But as the map has kind of developed, as you've seen teams play various range strats and brawl strats, and stuff, people are slow playing a little bit more. They're slow playing their brawls a little bit more, and that means that Theta is becoming open for its own fights to occur. And the team that can control Theta has a really big, I mean, that's a pretty big advantage on this map, I think. Again, like, if you're playing range, you have to be able to control Theta. Or I mean, you could do something a little different. You could go for your Epsilon, Kappa, Sigma, the north side of the map, and basically, if the team gives you the south side, if the team goes south to try to, say Team 1 goes after Theta, for example, and is playing that south side of the map, then Team 2, theoretically, they could take over the D5 hill, sit up on the D6 platform with range, and then kind of try to control Epsilon, Kappa, Sigma. So Team 1 can't really just sacrifice everything to control the south side, and it's not really the best spot either. I mean, the map, in open games, it's all about that south hill, that E5 hill. Like, that's where most of the fights happen, between that and the D5 hill. But in matches, as important as they are, you're rarely seeing 2 teams like run up the stairs and collide around the corners and stuff, because those fights are so messy and you can't really control them that well. And now, I do some people don't like those stairs in the backside. That gives Team 1 the the way to get up E5, but that was one of my suggestions, that they add something like that, because you can't give one team both stairs to the hills. Like, that was unfair. Even though Team One has other advantages, it was a little bit unfair, and it forced the hand, I think, of Team One a bit. And I like that they added these stairs, which could result in some collisions there, and especially light fights. That's always fun when light fights are trying to control that, because that's a really good scouting platform. So sometimes you'll see some people duking it out there.
Indeed, it certainly opened the map up a lot more, in my opinion, having those stairs there in Echo 5 up there for Team 1, because then it allows them the option to pounce on anything that's waiting to pounce on Theta, basically, because you can set up a little brawling team there in Echo 6 to pounce on Theta.
Okay, sorry. I was like flipped upside down. All right, so waiting for the dropships to come in here. Again, this is going to be 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. So
no dropships on box.
So we'll see. Oh, there's no dropships. Okay, well, waiting for the. There we go. Finally, I can press tab. All right, what do we got assault-wise? So we got the Kodiak, double Kodiak from Phoenix Legion, and the other team's doing the Mad 2C Executioner. Interesting. Why the Executioner, do you think?
Get up close, bring the tonnage with you, tank it up, and push the enemy. I think that's what they're electing to do here with their Team 2 side.
So you're expecting a brawl here from 228? Maybe sick and tired of losing on caps, be a little bit to be a little more aggressive. Ooh, looks like we
I'm gonna have a look at this
Theta.
Fight I'm gonna look at this electricity. Oh, it's always the Theta fight. Yeah, I'm gonna look at this Executioner, and he's bringing the 2 large pulse and the small pulse lasers on it with that. I think they're electing to dupe the Nightjares. Yep, they're elected to dupe those.
So the Executioner has the jump jets and the masks, so that gives you some maneuverability for a push, but I'm not sure about that choice at this tonnage. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm not sure on this map. Like, if you're not going to be really aggressive at the start and use that speed to get all your players forward, a little bit difficult. Now, Phoenix Legion is doing a bit of. I mean, they got the Kodiaks, of course. Not of course, but they are on the ground. They're kind of. I don't know if I like their spot very much, because they're not really able to do any map control there. But you do have the elevated Timberwolf and Nightjar from Phoenix Legion, and they're really just getting this cross fight here with the elevated mechs from 228. Caps are even essentially with just a slight edge to Phoenix Legion.
I don't think 228's realized right now that they could just drop down onto Theta, I think, right now, and cap it. Obviously, we can see it, but they could jump right onto Theta, cap it, and pull back, and that would force Phoenix Legion's hand to make a movement, maybe force their assaults to move up a bit more, or those range mechs, but they're poised ready for something, and I think the time is now ticked over. Phoenix Legion have decided to send a mech up there, so now the Theta will forever be contested in that realm. Interesting start. 228 electing to use those maces, do the range strat, and Phoenix Legion also electing to kind of hold back with their high tonnages. I'm also sharing your opinion on the fact I don't really like where they've posted their Kodiaks right now. They've got both of them running Daka, so you want to run them up a bit closer, one would think.
Browns are taking some damage there. Those Nightjares, or the Hunchback at least, able to put on some PPC fire, and you got a light fight here, down to 59%. 3 mechs now dropping for 228 all around Theta here. It looks like Dr. Gonzo is going to definitely go down. White Fox pulls out, but this is going to give Theta control to 228 as well as the first kill.
Indeed.
But a little bit of damage there on the Cheetah. Nothing. I don't know if it's too severe here. I'll try to get a chance to look at it.
Executioner coming in here, taking some fire from the maces as well as some crossfire from the Kodiak, so that was posted inside the water. He's pushing up a bit closer. So this is forcing Phoenix Legion, I think, to kind of reevaluate their stance now that they have no longer got the cap advantage.
Yeah, that Cheetah is nearly legged though. His left leg is about 1 shot off. So if they could at least gotten that, that would have been nice. Nice for Phoenix Legion, but that didn't happen. Now, Phoenix Legion has a big DPS advantage, or instant, we'll say alpha advantage here with the Kodiak. So I think at this point they should be moving the Kodiaks up and get them up on this lower hill and get them start trading a bit more active. Because honestly, all you need is that Kodiak poking out the right side and nailing the Nightjar in the CT, and suddenly 228 is like, shit, we can't stand up here forever, and we got to move. We got an Executioner, and we got to get that thing involved. They're going to get their Kodiaks involved. But 220, I mean, they're not really getting them involved right now, and I think that that's to their deficit. I mean, caps again. Now, this time, for the first time, we got a favor of 228. Slowly but surely bleeding here, but plenty of time. but I feel like they need to get those Kodiaks active, and they drop them down lower. And this is a really tough area for Kodiaks because they have to go all the way around the right in order to get there, or they have to come back left, and that's just gonna be time, and it slows
So
any kind of reactions. You're looking at 30, 40 seconds to get online if they back up, and probably about a minute and a half or so to get involved if they go forward. And they don't want to go forward because those night cheers, hunchback, everything else will blast them, and then the
tear 'em up.
executioner will come out there, and it'll be a tough day for them. So
Indeed, but it's definitely putting them at a bit of a disadvantage in the way in which they're using their tonnage. But they are keeping the cover down for this Theta cap and have forced it back into a 3 cap for them. So now it's ticking down for what 228's going to do. And it looks like they're kind of having a look at Epsilon.
So do you think? I mean, they're basically saying, all right, we know we gotta have Theta, so we're gonna drop 200 tons there to watch Theta, and that's gonna take it away. But this is what I like. 220. I was about to say Epsilon is free then. Like this is where you like, oh, now we just get Epsilon, and that's what they're gonna do. Perfect. It's a good move here, but we're going to get a little fight, actually. However, because they have the extra mech, this could go in their favor. They just need to make sure that Cheetah does not get legs. So he should pull out here, only engage if needed. And if they see those PPCs come in, that actually takes it away. Good reaction by Phoenix Legion, denying them any opportunity to get Epsilon. UAV goes up 4-28. They're just kind of curious about Theta there, if there's going to make any moves. But they're not able to make the moves because of the pressure by 228. That limits Phoenix Legion's ability to use their Kodiaks right now.
Indeed, it's keeping their general pressure, and they've done well to, like you said, pointed out earlier on, like to not limit themselves to this south side of the map. So they're securing Epsilon, even though it's 200 tons securing Theta. It's 200 tons with a lot of firepower, and it's forced 220 just onto this right side of the map, and now they're kind of poking, prodding for a little bit of an opening here, and that's my opinion's the 200 tons.
Yeah, if 228 knows that those Kodiaks are there, they should shove everything north here and get up C. They should get those Kodiak, those night cheers up on the hill, the executioner possibly in between the two hills, and get everything else, all their light stuff over towards Epsilon, cap that. Because we're at 500 points here. You can't waste that much more time. You're down by 40, so you can easily, you get the third cap, you're fine. But you don't want to do is go after Theta here with those Kodiaks, because you're just running into these mechs that aren't maneuverable. Don't give them that opportunity to get that kill, because the spider pokes out, those Kodiaks see them, and it's good night. I mean, it is DACA, a little bit more forgiving, but there's nothing here. You got 228 has to make the reaction, has to put pressure on Epsilon, or else honestly they're gonna lose the caps or kills.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I agree with you. I retract my previous statement of the 200 tons being the opening. They seem to just be poking at it with a large pulse, and a Kodiak will laugh at that.
Yeah, it's going to take a long time. I mean, what are they at? 86% and 97%. And we're at 170 points remaining, which is approximately 2.5 minutes. And I was mentioning those timing on the Kodiaks. That means if they got Epsilon, by the time the Kodiaks are involved, that's about 30, 40 seconds later on a fight towards Epsilon, if not a minute. So this is the time right now. 228 has to make the move, or else they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot, basically. And they're moving up down the big hill, which is actually allowing those Kodiaks to be involved. I thought this would be okay for the night cheers. I don't like the executioner coming up here because he can drop down here, but it's not really the best spot for him. And they're getting active, but the thing is, they can't just take an engagement. They have to take a cap. There's not enough time. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to. They're going to have to 4 cap if they try to fight this, but that's what they're doing here. They're going to go get in the spider on Epsilon. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is right now on the caps. It's really close, and I don't know how this will devolve or what'll happen basically if it goes 3-2 in caps in favor of 228. I don't know if there's 100 points. It's going to get really close here. I feel like they have to get Gamma.
I don't think they are going to get a cap lead.
Phoenix Legion has mechs on Kappa. They're doing that. Oh my goodness.
They're going to Sigma too.
All right, we have 2 mechs down for Phoenix Legion, but 42 points remaining, 2 cap. They're just going to have to shove everything on caps. Like, they're going to go after Sigma now, and they're getting something on Gamma, so that's the right move. You're going to try to slow this down, but they're going to have to get some stuff. I think they don't have to get Theta. They could just turn Gamma, but they didn't even get Kappa. They just got that.
They didn't get Kappa.
They didn't get Kappa. They decided to go to Sigma. Probably a good move here. 2 Cap will be enough to win for them. Honestly, 1 Cap at this point is enough. I think 228th recognized it and is going to have to fight. And they can win this fight. They can definitely win this fight, but there's not going to be enough time to decap Theta. And this victory is going to go in favor of 228th. Or it's going to go in favor of Phoenix Legion despite losing the kills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kodiak's just
Wow. Phoenix Kodiaks dominate Theta, forcing 228's hand. 228 not able to respond. Phoenix Legion already down a mech, really 2 mechs, does a smart thing, gets the second cap. They didn't even need it in the end. Honestly, they didn't even need it, but this is going to teach teams something. Teams have to watch this match. Or learn from matches like this and go, we cannot win matches if we're only reacting to caps when it's past 300, 400 points. That is way too late.
Indeed, you can't play static past that point. It's as much as you think we've got dominating sightlines. You might have dominating sightlines, but you don't have caps, and the caps what's going to win this game. So you got to get a move on. You got to use that power. Then they had a lot of power. They had 2 Nightjays. The Executioner could jump onto something, Nightjay support, that thing's dead within a matter of seconds. They got mobility, why didn't they use it? I'm asking questions and I'm not getting any answers here.
So, I mean, Phoenix Legion, yeah, they didn't get any kills, but they still get points for all the kills. They don't get the bonus, but it's still 8 kills of points. 228 only managing to get 3, and that's going to, that's going to be tough now. They're down 3-1. Phoenix Legion is playing a very tactical game.
Very smart game. Electing for the cap wins and kind of playing off the kills. I think they're realizing as soon as the cap win is in sight, we switch to cap win. We don't have to play for kills anymore, guys. We're gonna go for this cap win. So it's survival mode. Just tank, shoot at the enemy mechs if you can, get a kill if you can, but just play your survival mode. Light mechs, just stay out of the fights, get your caps, and let's just play a nice little game. Let's play it smooth. No pressure.
No pressure. Well, I mean, here, both teams were playing the tactical game on the caps, trying to control Theta initially to 28th, getting a kill out of it at one point. Phoenix Legion's dropping 2 Kodiaks, and 228 could no longer control it. They retook it. And 228 stood around for about 2 minutes or more, allowing those points to get up there. And yeah, they were within range for a very, very long time. But it's a thing. It's like even 1 cap can matter, and that's what it came down to. Like they tried to get Epsi, they couldn't get it. Instead of reacting that way, like I was mentioning, trying to retake Epsi with more firepower, they stalled out. They got indecisive, and that allowed more and more points to come off for Phoenix Legion. Finally making that move to Lower Hill. But that did allow them to get Epsi, and then they realized they had to get the back cap. They were doing that, but Phoenix Legion, somehow those mechs got out, and that's the thing that they had to do. They had to mark those mechs, and they had to say, we can't put everything here. We're going to have to keep some stuff to chase them down. Now, did that matter for Phoenix Legion? Did it distract 228th at all with those back caps? Yeah, it probably did. They weren't able to get Kappa down. They weren't able to reverse that, so they didn't do anything there. Their last cap, I think they probably had it neutralized. They might have had it in their favor right at the end, but it wasn't going to matter because there was no time left to get Theta. So even though it's just one cap on their side late, that was enough for Phoenix Legion.
Yeah, it's just no aggression.
It's not aggressing early enough, right? It's and I understand it's tough because you got that Executioner and you're looking for the push. Honestly, I think once they had 2 choices. I think the Epsilon control or drop the Executioner, drop everything down, basically, and shove off and just jump on those Kodiaks. Like you're gonna go into a lot of firepower, all their other mechs looking at you. But I think they could just have gone after them.
Yeah. Instead, they just elected to sit on the hill. We get a nice view though, sitting on the hill. Yeah. You want to draw on the map this time, or did you just do the replay?
I've just been showing the replay here, basically, because if you want to do it, let's do it. Let's see here.
You haven't drawn on the map.
I drew on the map. Last drop. What are you talking about?
You did. I did.
Well, I started it.
Well, anyway, 228, the Light decided to take these mesas up here, the Delta 7 Mesa, the Echo 7 Mesa, and kind of send a couple light mechs, the lighter tonnages, down here to Echo 6 to kind of challenge Theta. They stood there for a long, long while. I don't understand why they didn't just decide to take it. Phoenix Legion also electing to take up some mesas. They took, I think, it was this one here. Now, even though that looks like it's got a direct sign like onto the Theta thing, there's this big old rock right here, kind of blocks the view. So you just got to pay attention to that because it doesn't look like there's anything there really on the map. Took their codex down here, very, very far back in terms of where you would put your heavy hitting assaults, and had some other mechs, I think, up on the mesas here or maybe here. Just kind of had the cap onto Gamma and onto Epsilon. Elected to send just one Viper and a couple other mechs up here onto Theta, to which 228 pounced on them. I think that's what they were waiting for, to get the pounce. But even still, electing to cap Theta from the off, just come back. You can either jump up or you can use these stairs here or here just to come back and reset and wait for that little ambush. Would have pushed the cap game more into their favor into the late game. Had a little light fight around there, in which case then it was a back and forth kind of Theta happening, with 228 eventually losing out on that battle and having Phoenix Legion take Theta. They decided to jump off of the mesas, both on Echo 7 and in Delta 7, and kind of push up onto these Echo 5 stairs here. They sent some mechs around to Epsilon, decided it wasn't worth it because of the early damage sustained by the cheetah, or maybe the spider, or maybe they just decided, you know what, they've got sightlines onto Epsilon, we can't really take it with the amount of mechs that we currently have, so that push got rescinded. Everything they tried to do to kind of poke into it, they either didn't do it enough. They had the ideas there, but they just didn't fully commit. They just didn't really have that aggression or killer instinct in them. So towards the end, Phoenix Legion were able to capitalize on that, have both the codex down here in the river, just Theta's theirs, they can do whatever they want with that, and have the rest of the mechs just posted up online. And their light mechs at the end of the game, just to go around and run through Kappa, Cap Sigma, forcing 228 into the decision where we've got no caps, we're all over the place, what do we do? It was a very controlled game, it looks like, from Phoenix Legion, forcing 228 into situations which, you know, you're forced to make those decisions, and they can be very tough decisions to make when you're in that kind of cap deficit and you are using mechs that don't have the mobility or the firepower that you'd really think you're able to make any big differences in these kind of capping games.
Well, now up next we have Crimson Strait. Now this is a map where you can get in depth another standoff type situation. 228 is going to have the side, the water side, so they'll have a little more visibility on the caps. However, that's not necessarily an advantage because we're seeing is that the team one side ends up getting those caps and they can just back off, forcing team two to have to leave the island or leave whatever kind of control they're at. And if they leave too late, they just get in trouble because again it's a fairly big map and you can send a light all the way back, get that initial the initial starting cap, and you can't react to all that. And it's really easy for points to rack up at the end, so it's going to be important here if 228 or whoever's losing on points are on the 200, 300 mark, they're going to have to make their move and start getting up on caps. They're going to both want to go for a quick 2 cap. You don't want to be bleeding any more points than you have to the other team because that forces your hand even that much earlier. But this is your heaviest match. All right, it's 4 assaults.
Indeed.
4 assaults, 2 lights and 2 heavies. We got no mediums on this one. Both teams,
no Vipers.
No Vipers. I don't know if Phoenix Legion knows what to do with themselves without those, so we'll see. Right now, 228 is a bit heavier at 580 tons compared to the 550 for Phoenix Legion. We're about to get started. Right now, Phoenix Legion basically, not quite doubling, but 1150 rep versus 650 for 228. Phoenix Legion has won the last 3 drops. 2 of them on points. And each of the conquest ones, they have been leading on points late in the match. So they are playing the objective.
Indeed, it's getting interesting. I like these cap wins. I like these kind of cap kind of situations. I like being forced to think about what to do during the game. I mean, it's all good doing the just go on and fight and everything like that, but tactical games are the interesting kind of games in my book, anyway.
Well, we saw an Executioner last time for 228th. I'm curious if they'll decide to do that. That is an option waterside. They could get really aggressive and just be like, we're not going to play Island. We're going to push up right underneath you. So you could see something like Executioners and Gargoyles, Battlemasters, Kodiaks are still maybe fast enough. Even Atlases could possibly do it. And I think that would actually be a really good idea for 228 to decide here. Maybe not a pure push, but like massage the push a little bit. Like take a bit of aggressive mechs and get underneath them a bit faster. Get into their safe space, and don't allow them just to dominate on caps.
Indeed. So let's get in this game. We have got dropships, I believe. Have we? Is this one with dropships? No, it's not. It is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. Damn it.
Is there a point, in a little sidebar, is there a point to the dropships? Like I understand them on the respawn game modes, but for these game modes, I'm not really sure if they add
It's bleed time.
Bleed time. Yeah, that really upsets you when you have starting caps and dropships.
I hate it because if the game goes down to like a final couple seconds, then it bleeds it. But it appears that see, it's ticking down now. Mechs haven't even touched the ground yet.
Well, the timer, yeah. So let's see. We're at 10 seconds here by the time they get landfall. But we got double Kodiak, Marauder 2C, Gargoyle, Summoner, Cheetah, Locust, Linebacker for Phoenix Legion. So you got that mix. So they're gonna massage the brawl. 228, Mad 3R, Timberwolf, Mad 2C, Spider,
Direwolf?
Direwolf. I like Direwolves. They're good. Don't underrate them. They're still good. They're still one of the better. They're still like. Tons of
Daka Direwolf.
That's probably the one that a lot of people are still choosing. Is it Ultra 2?
Yeah. No, it's 3 Ultra 5s and 2 Ultra 10s.
Okay. So
old school.
I'm worried. I'm worried for 228 here because they are going to have a much harder time getting close. They got that Spider, harder time controlling caps perhaps. Spider most likely to try to go up on the hill and just ER large spam. But you actually see some movement towards the pass to Mexican Phoenix Legion going there. Early caps are in favor of Phoenix Legion. I think we're seeing a trend, and they actually managed a full cap beta. That's something that 228 should not have allowed happen. So this is gonna be a little difficult. 228 sending one mech over here or over at Epsilon, but he's gonna run into 2 mechs here, and he's not gonna have any spider help. Honestly, his team can't even help him here. The Gargoyle could actually take this thing out if he wanted to be, but he'd be in the open, and that'd be really risky. If they don't know exactly, and he's taking some Daka in here, but not really getting much damage on that Cheetah. What's going on in the other parts of the map, though? Because I'm just focusing on around Epsi right now.
Not a lot, basically. They seem to be converging on the fact that this little Locust is chasing this Cheetah towards the rest of his team.
Yeah, his left leg's almost off, but now that Mad DC's coming, Locust, time to get out. He actually could have gone all the way around back. He could have gone back and gotten Sigma. That would have been pretty funny.
Indeed.
So they've totally reacted. I mean, if you want to say we're like one Locust caused the whole team to react, that's exactly what happened here.
There we go.
But time for 228. Okay, let's go over this again. 228 down 3-1 caps. They got to make the move, and that's what they're doing. Their Gargoyle's there. The Gargoyle's fast, and he's already left the cap.
He's getting the hell out.
He should be able to get away here. Now they're going to make this a 3-2. Plenty of time here on the caps in this situation. I think they need to continue to cross the water here. Your island isn't going to give you much favor. They are trying to trade across theta. Some of the mechs sitting there, but they cannot get into like a sea warfare type fight here. They really got to get on land, take back theta, and hope they don't get crushed by some of that mixed mechs there that you see from Phoenix Legion. I haven't got an opportunity to look at all those mechs there. Is that Summer SRMs or is he like a PPC?
The Summoner B, that be SRMs.
Okay, so we're going to see the Spider
And he's just watching.
Not
them
really
up
your
there
favorite
as
mech
well.
to go cap, but that Cheetah is one-shot leg, so he cannot do that role anymore. Honestly, he can't even go after Theta here, because if he does, this linebacker is probably going to take him out off of Kappa if that Cheetah tries to take it.
Indeed, and they have a mech up top here as well. Oh yeah, that's the linebacker up top on guarding Kappa. Also taking Sigma from them, and guess who it is taking Sigma?
So we got two Kodiaks sitting in the side cave here. Doc Kodiaks. He took a little bit of damage when he was poked out, pop shit, but now he is back in hiding
Neutralized
there.
Theta.
So what's going on cap-wise here? We got Theta is 220 is grabbing Theta, and Kappa. Or no. Okay, so they were trying to get Kappa, but they weren't able to get that. And that Cheetah could have gotten leg there. Points here 300. This is the time.
Gotta do something.
I mean, like I said, it seems like you have tons of time, but you really don't.
You really don't. They've left they're
that.
not even reacting to the Sigma cap here by Phoenix Legion, and just kind of sitting out in the water, keeping their feet wet. Phoenix Legion are posted up the fact that if they decide to fully commit onto Theta, they can pounce down the Summoner. I don't know if you've seen him.
I didn't see where it happened, but Phoenix Legion did get Sigma, or is that broken on my side? They did.
No, they got it. They sent a Cheetah there.
Oh my goodness, that's nice. That's nifty.
They've got a Summoner just set up top here on the mountain. I don't know whether you've seen that.
Oh, the Cheetah goes down. Who had the bum leg here? Now, luckily, Painsucker's up here doing some damage to that Cheetah. If he could actually take this thing down, that would give him a chance. He does leg it. Nice job by him, and he takes it down. And nice shooting there, ripping off those legs. Does some shots in that linebacker. Spider bolts out. He can't really do much there unless he's the LPL build, but.
Indeed, he's got to make sure that linebacker gets chased off here, and they have to.
Oh, the Spider is nearly legged, so that means they have basically no capping ability at this point. And you're down to 200s. You got to be aggressive here and push it. I don't care if you lose on kills. You got to push now, or else you. Oh,
man, no,
I don't want to see them
they're
lose
getting
again.
Epsilon.
They're getting Kappa now. 228 is able to finally control Kappa. They're going to get 3-2 advantage, down 200 points. It'll be a little close, actually. They try to do that. Epsilon, though, is being threatened by Phoenix Legion here, but they are doing damage to him, keeping him from doing that. Oh, big shot on the Locust. Takes him down. All right, 228. Take out both of the lights from Phoenix Legion. Now we got an interesting situation here because they're going to have a 4-cap because they're getting their Sigma. Whoa, 228 now playing a little bit of the cap game. Actually able to get some control here with some nice shots on the light mechs, taking them down. Phoenix Legion actually now as a team is going to have to make the move. Maybe I spoke a little bit too early here. And that Kodiak and totally out in the open, and the firepower comes in from Phoenix Legion, just tearing him a new one.
Yep, they're deciding, okay, this is what happens.
This is what you do, right? You're down on caps and you say, okay, time to make the move. We can't sit here. I mean, I'd like 228 has a nice spot here. This is a tough area for them to go in, but they also are having good focused firepower, which is keeping this pretty close.
The Direwolf has been allowed to sit there and get his Dakar on, but now he's decided that, well, it's time for him to be the focused target.
He is the focus. Now, the question is 228, because they're getting on a split fight, shooting those mechs off Theta, trying to prevent them from taking that cap back. And now this Mad 2C, unfortunately, is shut down, and you got linebacker Gargoyle Mad 2C taking him out. And Phoenix Legion is up 5-3 here. And they got Kappa back. They're going to have to get probably one more cap here, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. You got a nearly leg Spider, Timberwolf now, and a Mad 2C up top. They're going to have to do what they can here.
The Summoner creeping down below. You see that?
Creeping down below. I think the Spider's shooting him. He's trying to go after the Spider. I don't think it's that much luck. He actually could jump up through these holes and shoot these guys, or even back here. I think that'd be a great choice. If he can do that, that's going to give him a bad day and allow the rest of Phoenix Legion mechs to get active here. I think Phoenix Legion, no, they decided to play the cap, the safer play. They went and put 2 mechs in FC, or at least neutralized it, and that's going to give them the favor on caps now. They are in the lead, and there's only 2 mechs remaining for 228.
The Summoner deciding to go in there on the Marauder 2C.
Yeah, smartly. And this Kodiak. It's really a 2-on-2 fight up here. Summoner does go down.
Goes down.
But 3-2 cap advantage and significant point advantage for Phoenix Legion. Mad 2C is now legged from that Kodiak. Timberwolf is really beat up.
Indeed, I think they're just sending the mechs up here just to delay.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing 228 can do here. There's too many mechs remaining, and they're so beat.
falling down into the pit of the
Tijinko
Bear.
just doing as much dock as he can. They do manage to take him out, so we got a 2-on-3 fight here. 120 points remaining for Phoenix Legion.
Send in the Gargoyle.
It's sending in the Gargoyle, who does quickly finish off that Timberwolf.
And the Marauder 2C.
All right. Nice job. Nice job by both teams. I think it was, again, another pretty well-played match. Interesting match. Teams controlling caps. Phoenix Legion starting off cap control. 228 taking the cap control. And then Phoenix Legion doing what 228 should have done at other times and becoming the aggressor. And oh my goodness. Mad 2C 767. Kodiak 3 797. They did their jobs.
Putting in that work. If you're putting in an assault, you wanna be hitting those high damage numbers. You have all that firepower. You wanna prove that you are, the dominating force on the battlefield there.
So 228 almost got caught with their pants down a little bit on that push. I don't think they were expecting it because that Anatoly was so far forward in the Kodiak, and the rest of their assaults were not in a position to support. I think they need to be a bit more grouped up there because they had the cap advantage. And they should have, it's one of those things you got to think about where your opponent, all right, they're going to have to become aggressors now. And so we got to be prepared for that push. But they might not have had all that scouted out. They didn't know they had that more brawly, friendly linebacker. They didn't know they had the SRM summoner. So, only able to do 159 the summoner, but still a big factor. It's still a factor.
Indeed, it was one of those interesting engagements. I mean, they I kept checking on the Phoenix Legion summoner. He was up on top of the mountain. Normally you'd see a light up there, but they just committed both their lights to getting the cheeky back caps. As soon as they thought, right, well, they're still up in the water and I don't see any mechs over there by Sigma, send a light there. They did that. He kept eyes on what 228 were doing for the entirety of the game. Even though Brawl loadout couldn't do any firepower down there onto anything. Could have brought 2 PPCs and got some shots off. Nah, just eyes.
One thing that Phoenix Legion did a really good job on, and not all teams do this as well, I would say. When they were doing that push, knew there was some mechs in the platform, in the E5 area, and they marked them. They occupied those mechs times. And even if they weren't winning those fights, that was keeping them from just drilling into those assaults as they were crossing the open water. So that was a good thing. And it might have been one of the factors that allowed them to win that fight.
Indeed. I mean, it was one of those things where 228 have normally been, for the past few matches, they'd been balled up. Well, not past few matches, past few drops, sorry. They were balled up. They were taking the death ball approach and being really static about it. And it was one of those cases at this time. If they'd have been more balled up, I mean, they were spread out for the brawl push, but the firepower, it just wasn't there for them coming. Phoenix Legion took a straight line path. As soon as they were losing the cap game, it was straight from Delta 5 in between these two buildings, past that little bump rock there in Delta 4, just straight line. And 228s were kind of spread out all along here. They noticed where the main firepower assaults were and just made a beeline for them. Normally you take, surely that's a good opportunity for 228. They've got this nice concave, they can get back shots for the mechs that are trying to tank, but like you said, there's 2 mechs over here in Kappa, 2 nice firepower kind of orientated mechs that were kind of out of the fight. The main force, the main DACA push, the more brawly friendly orientated mechs were able to really just powerhouse down, and it was the DACA Kodiak and the Marauder 2C just hosing down damage in that advance there from Delta 5 into Delta 4 into the water, which really, poor DACA Direwolf didn't really do much.
No, and the thing is, 228 had superb firepower when they made that, or Phoenix Legion did when they pushed out in the water there, because they're able to isolate certain mechs and a little bit more obvious targets. I always talk about obvious targets. It's just the one it's just like, yeah, you're going to shoot that mech. It just makes sense. So it doesn't even take a lot of team coordination there. It doesn't take that disciplined fire that you would need in certain situations there. So they just got those obvious targets. It's like, oh, there's a Kodiak is in front of our faces, so we just shoot that one. And then there's one just to his right. We'll shoot that one. And then, oh, we turn right. There's another one. We'll go after that. And therefore, they were getting like 4-on-1 in some instances, or 4-2 advantages, and that's going to just roll. So they were able to snowball that attack.
Indeed. I think once again, here, 228 should take a look back at these matches because some of the things they were able to ball up and be very, powerful in their death ball, but they've got to kind of reevaluate the fact that they've got to be more mobile in that and take advantage and opportunities, as well as realize the fact that time is ticking down, and when it's ticked down to a certain point, you got to do something. And Phoenix Legion definitely showed us, okay, fuck out, let's push, boys. They did, and it was beautiful. I loved it.
All right, so after losing the first drop really close, 6-8, Phoenix Legion came back and won the next 4 drops, winning 2 of them on caps and 2 of them on kills. Well played by them. I'm impressed. Like we picked this match because it was like, okay, these are 2 teams that look pretty even, and it wasn't like 228 is totally outmatched here. By no means were they totally outmatched here. Like, this was a good match, and 228 had to make hard decisions, and they just didn't make those decisions early enough sometimes, based on the caps. So this is like, this was really well played though by Phoenix Legion, and sometimes a team playing the cap game is something that some people, again, I was talking about earlier, some people don't respect it as much when a team does that. But what I like about Phoenix Legion here is they played the cap game, but they made wise decisions throughout. Like, they recognized that, we had to get caps here, or we're going to lose a fight here, so now we need to do this. Or with this last drop especially, they said, hey, we lost our 2 lights, and they didn't waste time. Like, they had their Kodiaks in the cave or the tunnel, and they just pulled them out, and they just started pushing out, and they just took care of business. Like, they didn't make the mistakes. So Phoenix Legion, whoever's calling the strats and calling those in-game plays did a really good job tonight.
Indeed. Whew.
So our final score is going to be Phoenix Legion with 1,500 points, 228 to 775. Curious to see what happens if the 2 teams meet next time, in about 5 weeks, because 228 is now going to have to learn what Phoenix Legion is about. And I think any other team in this division has learned what Phoenix Legion is about. And this is a good win for Phoenix Legion, because this is going to catapult them. It's going to be pretty solid in the top 3 teams with a chance to compete for first place, I think, after this solid win by them.
Indeed, it pops them up to 5 matches played. Entire Scorpions will be second with this, little match score turnaround. It'll be Phoenix Legion first, Entire Scorpions second, and 228 third. So with that kind of 5 matches played, when it does that awkward thing, you look to the standings and you get a bit excited of what's the next match gonna, what's that gonna entail. It's a chance now for them to kind of pull ahead off of this win if they on their next match, and hope that in turn Scorpions lose. But I don't think they're gonna, because they've been rather dominating force in the Division B for EU. It's gonna be interesting.
All right,
we're gonna have to do another cast next week. Yeah. Realize that.
Yeah. So I'm glad we've been able to cast some of these EU matches, because they have definitely been. Both these matches have been pretty exciting. This one was really. I was a fan of watching this. Like, this is something that you had to keep. It was hard to keep track at times, because there was things going on all over the place. Interesting drop decks, everything else. So well played by both teams. I thank everybody for viewing. Do you have any final thoughts?
Move your ass when it gets to 350 points.
All right, you heard it from Ruza. Move your ass when it gets to 350 points. Maybe we'll do that too. I can comment on it as a commentator, but everybody's lost drops in those situations. Yeah. It's hard to make those decisions, and so 228 just has to regroup and say, well, all right, let's make some things for us. Let's make some conditional rules for us where we all know, all right, it's getting deep points where we know we have to make the move. So let's start setting up earlier so we're ready to make that move when we hit those junctions.
Yep.
Well, thanks everybody. This has been an MRBC EU Div B match between Phoenix Legion and 228th Golden Talons. Phoenix Legion taking it 4-1 drops and 1,500 rep to 775, putting them in a pretty solid, I think, 3rd place. We'll see once the matches are all done for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to some of the next matches. Check it out on Reddit. Posts are up, or on MRBCleague.com to find out when the next casts are going to be. We have some NA matches coming up, I believe maybe today and tomorrow. A big match tomorrow between Oz and D5. That one should be really good. I'll have to watch it afterwards because we'll be in a match ourselves. So again, thanks everybody, and peace.
See ya.